Android 15 is finally here for Pixel phones. Pixel 6, 7, 8, 9, the Fold, all that great stuff, new features. Is it worth it? Well, it seems like there's quite a few new features. I was finally able to install it because I'm in Japan now, I'm not in China. But anyway, I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but I was able to go ahead and download and install it. And we've been waiting for a little while for this because, of course, the phones came out, shoot, a little while ago. 2 months ago almost? And now we've got Android 15. And does that mean that we can start the clock and really take a look at and like review these phones now? And I think that when you take a look at it, it's interesting because Google does things called quarterly feature drops. So they're calling it a operating system update and feature drop. I'm like, well, I guess you kind of can because a new operating system version is, of course, going to have new features. But Google advertises for quarterly feature drops, and normally that's June. It's supposed to be September, December, and I think February. And they just kind of glossed over the fact that we don't get this in September. They pushed the Android update to October, and the phones came out in August. So it's like, all right, what's going on here? It's kind of a weird thing in the Pixel world. So some people were saying you can't fully review it because Android 15 is not here. But how can I don't think you can really say that. I think that the device has stood well on the merits. I think it's been probably the best and smoothest launch that we've had with a Pixel phone since the advent of the Tensor chips with the Pixel 6. And I don't think it was necessary to wait until Android 15 came out to update to like actually review the phone. And why is that? Well, ultimately, the biggest thing you're going to look at is hardware. Of course, you look at features, but there's nothing really that stands out with Android 15 that's like, okay, well, you got to have the Pixel 9 to really do this. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that they did that's quality of life improvements, and some of the stuff even makes it more like iOS. It's funny because you can now archive apps, so that's something you can do. That's a thing you've been able to do with Apple for a couple of generations now. Also, you have a setting with the Bluetooth now where you can have it automatically come back on later instead of turning it off and it being off. And that's one thing, like these persistent things that Apple does that I actually don't like because it takes away my control over them. Yeah, I turn stuff off with Apple sometimes. Just like, don't you worry, we're going to turn it back on later when we think it's convenient and you need it. And that's kind of something to do with Android now. With the Bluetooth, you can turn it off. They've got different updates with like the user interface where you can do a peek with going back from an app, so you can kind of take a look at what's there before you go to it. They've got more support with multitasking for foldables and things like that. You have the app pairs, you can pull up and open two of them at once. So, I mean, we've been able to do that in past before in certain instances, like with Samsung and even with like the Microsoft Surface Duo. But you've got this whole, like coordinated pairs, whatever they're calling it. And yeah, there's some other nice stuff too. I mean, you can like manually use astrophotography. They've got the anti-theft features. So I didn't talk about this in my update yesterday. I didn't really understand it too much, but apparently the anti-theft stuff does a lot with kind of AI and maybe even some biometric data with the phone where it senses if somebody takes your phone and runs off with it or starts doing things with your phone that seems suspicious, like trying to reset it, erase like an eSIM or things like that, where it can lock down the phone or it can have extra levels of security to try and keep somebody from either taking and erasing your phone so you can't track it or find it and things like that. I mean, that's pretty cool. And then yeah, there's a whole host of new features with it. So I mean, it's cool, and I think maybe it might be one of the more substantial updates that we've had in a while. But it does feel a little bit like a quarterly feature drop as well, like a really really expanded one, right? So there's also some improvements with the thermometer. There's some improvements to the weather app. There's some improvements like they're just getting a lot of these quality of life improvements out there that I do think make the phone better and that do things to make it a more enjoyable experience. And that's ultimately what we want with an operating system. As we get more and more polish refinement, as more and more people use these phones and the platform, it just makes it better for the overall experience for everybody. So, that's some cool stuff. So, but I think as a topic of discussion, the Pixel 9 series phones have been pretty darn complete. I reviewed the 9, I reviewed the 9 Pro, I reviewed the 9 Pro XL. All three of them do a really, really good job. I've really enjoyed the Tensor G4. I've enjoyed the camera updates, especially the selfie camera on the new Pixel 9 Pro and 9 Pro XL. I think it's the best selfie camera in the game right now. It's great for video. There's just so many things that I think have helped take this platform with the Pixel to the next level. And of course, you still get the ignorant comments in the comment section about how it's a low tier budget process, like all this stupid stuff that's completely uninformed. I don't know who's still parroting these talking points, but it just doesn't make any sense, right? It's 3.15 gigahertz processor, 8-core processor, tensor processing unit. It's got the Titan security chip built in. They're the only Android phones that can even do your biometric data for like high-level security banking apps. You can't even do that with Samsung. You can't do it with other ones. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that the Android platform through Google and the Pixel phones brings to the table. So I'm glad that Android 15 is here, but I think it's a different story because a lot of people kind of equate these things with Apple Intelligence, which Apple Intelligence is basically false advertisement at this point for these phones because Apple is selling these phones. They're advertising the heck out of Apple Intelligence, and it's not there. You can do the beta and get access to a few of the features that are supposed to drop at the end of the month with iOS 18.1, but really, I think it's false advertising because they've got all these things like Apple Intelligence, Apple Intelligence, Apple Intelligence, so cool, all these commercials, and then people go buy these phones and they think they're going to have them, and it's just not there. So that's a fundamental aspect of the phone. That's like the major selling point, and it's not there. As opposed to an operating system update, which brings some polishment and some refinement and some new features here and there. But so I think the core experience of the phone has been very reviewable. I think the core experience of the phone has been very good. And I think the Pixel 9 series phones are excellent phones. I've been carrying my SIM card around. I moved it back before I left my Pixel 9 Pro XL because, well, I'm traveling. I need the extra battery. I like the bigger screen, things like that. So yeah, I'm here in Tokyo right now. I got out of Beijing, and I had a great time there with Vivo. It was cool getting to experience some of the stuff there. But I'm here now because I wanted to check out Tokyo. I came here 20 years ago. I'll be doing some sightseeing. I'm going to shoot a vlog while I'm here and some other stuff. So I've got my iPhone 16 Pro Max. I've got my Pixel 9 Pro XL, and then of course we got my S24 Ultra and the Vivo X200 Pro. So I've got a few phones with me while I'm here. I'll see which one I'm going to shoot the vlog with. But yeah, it's one of those things where the phones are good. Like I've had a really good experience with the Pixel 9 Pro series phone, Pixel 9 Pro XL. Even the Pixel 9 is really good. My son's been using that one, and he was kind of like he used my Pixel 8 Pro a lot last year, and he was like, "Man, I really want to keep using the Pro." I'm like, "Look, the 9's pretty good. You don't really use the zoom all that much. Why don't you try out the 9?" And he's had his SIM card in there for like 3 weeks now. He's like, "Oh, I love this phone. Like it's great." So even my son, who's used to the much higher like the Pro series phone, is using the lesser one. But anyway, I wanted to talk about this video. It's actually a couple topics rolled up in one. The iPhone, I don't think is a complete phone yet. I think they're doing a lot of false advertising and it's seriously misleading their customers. As opposed to, I don't think a lot of people really were butthurt that the phone launched with Android 14. Android 14 worked. It was polished. I've had no issues with it, and everyone across the board. I know there's always onesies and twosies that have software issues, but by and large, across the board, it's been a resoundingly overall positive experience. So I think they did the right call pushing with Android 14. We've got 15 now. Go ahead and download it. Very easy. Go to your system settings, go to the system update, and check that out. Go ahead and tap on that button sometimes twice to check for update because it's misleading sometimes. Get your update. Check out the new features. See what's there that's nice for you. There's a whole list of new things. And yeah, I think that it just makes the phone even better. I don't think it was a requirement to say, oh, we can't review it because Android 15 is not here yet. But new features, they're not misleading you like Apple, and now it's there. So go ahead and go get it. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to wrap it up, and we're going to do some exploring today. So that's all I got. If you have any questions, comments, gripes, concerns, complaints, all that stuff, go to the comment section. I'll do my best to get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, if you like this stuff, please hit the like and the subscribe button and a little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And also, if you got the update, I'd still love to hear that. Which phone you have, what carrier, and how are you enjoying it? Like, how are you enjoying Android 15 so far? Let me know. So as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you guys next time.